Infinix Note 7 smartphone was launched on May 2020. The smartphone has 6.95 inches IPS LCD punch-hole Infinity O display with 83.7% screen-to-body ratio and aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9. The smartphone protected by Corning Gorilla Glass on front and plastic frame body on its back. It has side-mounted fingerprint sensor with an image density of 358 ppi. Infinix Note 7 smartphone is based on 1.7 to 2.0 GHz octa-core MediaTek Helio G70 12nm chipset and packed with 4GB and 6GB of RAM. G70 is a new gaming-oriented chipset for entry-level smartphones. The MediaTek Helio G70 is an ideal for mainstream smartphone users and elite mobile gamers. For gaming purpose, G70 is compiled with an efficient, high-performance AMD G52 class graphic processor, which operates up to a speed of 820 MHz. Infinix Note 7 smartphone has quad camera setup on the rear, which consists of 48 megapixel main shooter with 1.8 aperture and 0.8 micron pixel size. Main camera is powered by advanced artificial intelligence image stabilization, and the night mode will shoot blur-free and focus photos in low light. The main camera records 4K and slow motion video in HD resolution and captures rich detail and color even in the dark with the 1080 pixel low light video camera. And the second one is 40mm 2 megapixel macro camera with 2.4 aperture, which can record even the most minute of detail. And the third one is 2 megapixel depth sensor with 2.4 aperture, and the fourth one is dedicated video camera, which is available only in 128GB model. On the front, the smartphone has 26mm 16 megapixel punch-hole selfie camera with 1.8 aperture. Infinix Note 7 smartphone operates on XOS 6.0 based on Android 10 and packed with 64 and 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expandable by micro SD card with dedicated SD card slot. Infinix Note 7 smartphone is compiled with massive 5000 mAh battery and support 18W 3.0 super fast charge. Infinix S5 Pro smartphone was launched on 13 March 2020. The phone has 6.53 inches IPS LCD full screen display with 83.8% screen to body ratio and aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9. It comes with 3D glass at the back and 2.5D glass on the front, which can save the device from scratches or minor accident falls. It has rear mounted fingerprint sensor with an image density of 395 ppi. Infinix S5 Pro smartphone is based on 1.8 to 2.3 GHz octa-core MediaTek Helio P35 12nm chipset and packed with 4GB and 6GB of RAM. Infinix S5 Pro smartphone has triple camera setup on the rear that consists of 48 megapixel main shooter with 1.8 aperture and 0.8 micron pixel size, which records video at the rate of 30 frames per second in 1080 resolutions. And the second one is 2 megapixel depth sensor with 2.2 aperture along with QVGA sensor. QVGA is an optical time of flight camera sensor for automotive applications, capable of measuring distance and reflectivity at full resolutions. On the front, the smartphone has 16 megapixel motorized pop-up selfie camera with 2.0 aperture. Infinix S5 Pro smartphone runs on Android 10.0 and packed with 64 and 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expandable by micro SD card with dedicated SD card slot. Infinix S5 Pro smartphone is powered by a massive 4000 mAh battery with no fast battery charging support. Infinix Hot 9 smartphone was launched on April 2020. The smartphone has 6.6 inches IPS LCD punch-hole Infinity O display with 82.8% screen-to-body ratio and aspect ratio of 20 by 9. Smartphone is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass on front and plastic frame body on its back. It has rear-mounted fingerprint sensor with an image density of 266 ppi. Infinix Hot 9 smartphone is based on 1.5 to 1.8 GHz octa-core MediaTek Helio A25 12nm chipset and packed with 2, 3 and 4GB of RAM. A25 combined with the IMG Power VR GE8320 class graphic processor, which is really perfect for apps and splash for gaming. MediaTek Core Pilot technology provides power-aware scheduling, thermal management and UX monitoring, assigning the right workload to the right resources to perfectly match the required performance, providing the best power efficiency. This results in a sustained high performance and consistently reliable user experience. Infinix Hot 9 smartphone has quad camera setup on the rear, which consists of 13 or 16 megapixel main shooter with 1.8 aperture and 0.8 micropixel size. On the camera side, the new A25 has incredible low light performance, multi-frame noise reduction and a clear zooming technology. On the video side, you can record slow motion in HD resolution. The main camera also lets you to record 1080 resolution video at the rate of 30 frames per second. And the second one is 40mm 2 megapixel macro camera with 2.4 aperture, which is used to capture tiny objects in more details. And the third one is 2 megapixel depth sensor with 2.4 aperture. And the fourth one is QVGA sensor. On the front, this smartphone has 26mm 8 megapixel punch-hole selfie camera with 2.0 aperture, which allows you to record at the rate of 30 frames per second video in HD resolutions. Infinix Hot 9 smartphone operates on XOS 6.0 based on Android 10 and packed with 32, 64 and 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded by micro SD cards with dedicated SD card slot. Infinix Hot 9 smartphone is compiled with massive 5000 mAh battery with 10 watt of standard charge. Infinix S5 smartphone has 6.6 inches IPS LCD punch-hole display with 81.9% screen to body ratio and aspect ratio of 20:9. It is protected by highly durable and scratch-resistant tempered glass on the front as well as plastic frame body on the back side of the smartphone. It has rear-mounted fingerprint sensor with an image density of 270 ppi. Infinix S5 smartphone is based on MediaTek Helio P2 to 12nm chipset and packed with 4GB and 6GB of RAM. Infinix S5 smartphone has triple camera setup on the rear that consists of 16 megapixel main shooter with 1.8 aperture, and the second one is 14mm 5 megapixel ultra-wide sensor along with 2 megapixel depth sensor with 2.2 aperture. On the front, this smartphone has 26mm wide 32 megapixel fixed focus camera with 2.0 aperture. It runs Android 9.0 Pie and packed with 64 and 128GB of inbuilt storage. It also supports micro SD card up to 256GB with dedicated SD card slot. Infinix S5 smartphone is powered by 4000 mAh battery with no fast charging support. Infinix Hot 8 smartphone has 6.52 inches IPS LCD capacitive bright display with 81.5 screen to body ratio and aspect ratio of 20:9. It has rear mounted fingerprint sensor and has image density of 269 ppi. There is no Gorilla Glass protection in Infinix Hot 8, but has glass on front as well as on its back. This smartphone is based on octa-core MediaTek Helio P2 to 12nm processor and packs with 2GB and 4GB of RAM. That depends upon the version of the smartphone. Infinix Hot 8 smartphone on the back has triple camera setup that includes 26mm wide 13 megapixel main shooter with 1.8 aperture, and the second one is 2 megapixel depth sensor with 2.4 aperture, and the third one is QVGA low light sensor. QVGA is an optical time of flight 3D camera sensor combined with a modulated light source. This sensor can measure distance and reflectivity at full resolution. On the front, the smartphone has 8 megapixel fixed focus camera with 2.0 aperture. It runs XOS 5.0 based on Android 9.0 Pie and packed with 32 and 64GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded by a micro SD card up to 256GB. This device is powered by 5000 mAh battery with 10 watt of fast battery charging support.